Hey traders, Dennis Wilburn, the AutoPilot Trader. This week's session of Trade Your Way to Wealth and Financial Freedom, we cover some tips on what do you do to protect your capital and your profits when the market is rolling over and dying. Rough week in the market this week. Good news, there are some stocks that are setting up. We've found several that are holding up much better than the market and actually going up while the market's going down. Let's jump into today's session and you can see which stocks those are. Let's go.
Okay, good afternoon, everybody. This is Dennis Wilburn, the AutoPilot Trader. I want to welcome you to today's session of Trade Your Way to Wealth and Financial Freedom. I want to welcome Steve Ferrara and Anil Parikh, two IBD leaders. Gentlemen, welcome to a bear market.
Isn't that the truth?
So one of the things we want to basically just kind of keep things on track today. I really want to honor your time, everybody's time involved. I want to try to keep this within 15 to 20 minutes. And so we'll be going to be direct to the point. If you are joining us over on the YouTube channel, please identify yourself and let me know who's over there. If you have any questions, type them into the chat box and I can see them there. What is the biggest challenge you're having right now with this market? In just a couple of words, what is your biggest challenge? Just be thinking about that. Here we go. A reminder that all the materials we present are for training purposes. Traders should always paper trade any new method prior to the risk of their own personal capital. Past performance is not an indication or a promise for future performance. Here's where I'm sitting as of early today. As you can see, we took a little bit of a tick down from where I wanted to be, but just dropped a little bit as the markets basically went further into the correction. As you see here we are. I was up about 41% as of last week. Today, about 9 o'clock in the morning, as you can see, NASDAQ deeper into its bear market. It's down almost 30%, folks. We're looking at a significant drop to the downside. Russell down also about 27%. What is of interest to me, though, is the S&P down really close to entering the bear territory, and the Dow also dropping down a little bit more. The Dow has really hung in there, significantly while the market's been just going, the NASDAQ and the Russell have been selling off. As you can see, significant differences there. And so with that, what we're going to do is go over and take a look at the indexes. And so we've got a couple of answers here. Positions turn out to be short, very short term, no trends. Yeah, without a doubt, that's from Steve. Paula, knowing whether I should sell before prices go down or just hold on to stock. Well, Paula, you need to be following your rules. And with the market where they is right now, never have more than a 10% stop loss on everything. Chop, Nicole, I could be buying at resistance and selling into strength and not trying to hold for a bigger move. I mean, that is absolutely correct. Even Mark Minabini in his session with IBD this past weekend talked a lot about that. And in his book that I'm in the process of rereading, he talks specifically about when you get into a choppy market, fear or greed, or fear or regret were the two emotions that he talked about that drive us. And so with that, let's go ahead and take a look at the stocks that we are looking at. Now, Steve didn't have a pick for today. And Steve, while I'm teeing up Anil's pick, why are you holding out not to trade this market right now?
Because I think it's a terrible environment. Until it gets resolved, I'm not interested in trading. I am looking at potentially shorting some positions, but other than that, I don't see buys at all.
Vertex is my pick, and I picked it for a reason. Vertex in the system that I'm following, the triple string system, had a weekly signal way back on December the 6th.
December the 6th, okay.
6 months ago, and that signal has not gone away yet. It had a big chop somewhere in April-May period or something, but still the weekly signal has held. I was in and out of the stock because when it went up and the daily signal came, I went out with daily, but back in And currently, it gave a signal again. So I'll take a very small position right now. Market is really choppy.
And if anybody's wondering, right there is December 6th. That is the week of December 6th. As you can see, it has gone up, a significant amount. It looks like about, it went from 203 up to as high as 300. So that's a nice, over 33% run. I like VRTX also, Anil, and, full disclosure, we actually entered a position with the AutoPilot Trading service this past week on VRTX. One of the things while we're looking at this, and I'll just throw out a couple of things. When the market is in the condition that it's in, look for stocks that are holding up better than the market. Make sure your price action is above the 200-day moving average and the 50-day moving average, if possible, but especially the 200-day moving average. Why is that? Because if price action is taking place below the 200-day moving average, I think that trade becomes more risky because you can correct significantly down. Take a look at one of my favorite this week was Riot, and Riot got ripped to the downside. It was one of those stocks that while it had a great looking pattern, it, sold off really, really hard. Recognize also, control your risk and recognize what you can control. There's two things in the market you can control: when you buy and when you sell. Once you basically control those two items, everything else is the market just doing what the market's going to do. Always have a place to exit the trade. Always define where you want to enter the trade. So VRTX, good looking chart there. Here's my pick for the week, or at least it was early this morning. BJ. BJ is another stock that has been operating exceptionally well. We may be getting a little bit long in the tooth, but it undercut everything right here. So reset the base counts, and then we just broke out of a base right here as we went on up and continue to push up. I like it, basically buying it either where it's at right now. That would give me a stop, and I would put a stop loss down below the 20-day moving average. So you can see about a 4.5% stop loss. The other thing I would do with the market, likely to go into market in correction today. I think we've undercut some lows. I want some exposure, but I don't want to be overexposed, if that makes sense. So to handle that, I cut my position size, initial position size, in half. If I carry a 5% stop loss, the impact is actually like I'm carrying a 2.5% stop loss, or so I can lose less. So that's my pick for today, guys. Again, buying it where it's at, or if you want to wait till Monday, look for a pullback into the body. But somewhere about 77.50 up to where it's at today would be a good opportunity to buy the BJ.
I just checked it on my system. BJ has an active daily signal as well as weekly signal for a long time.
So yeah, we've been riding BJ ever since we came down into this area here. Bought some down here about $70, and but it's just one of those slow, steady climbers, acting better than the market. Steve,
I like it. It's a good idea, and I really like today's action. Relative to what the market's doing.
Yeah, the market is going. Bleh. It's kind of ugly. So let's go ahead and jump over into the market itself and just take a real quick look at what is happening. Here's one of the things, and this is just a suggestion. How are you performing per what the market's doing? Okay, the market basically this week got up to this high here. So over the last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 days, where's the market gone? Well, from that high to that low. So the market has lost 7% of its value this past week. Compare, what is your portfolio loss this week? Or maybe it hasn't lost at all. But if it's less than 7+%, then you're beating the market, and you've got some good rules in place that are protecting you. If it's greater than 7%, you need to do some tweaking to your rules, because we don't want to be trading a system that's underperforming what the market's doing. So on spiders, the S&P, we're dropping down close to a level of support at about the 380 level. All the moving averages have now crossed to the downside. We are well below the 200-day moving average, and everything else is crossing to the downside. And it looks like we've got some additional falling to go. Momentum is shooting down. Positive side, we've got a 3-line cluster on the market forecast, but oftentimes says within 1 to 4, in this case, days, we should get a reversal. It is kind of interesting that ties in very closely to what's going on with the Fed. The Fed meets on Wednesday. There's a likelihood, the market is already priced in that they're going to do at least a 0.75 percent rate, increase in the rates. What happens if it's 1? What happens if they basically take the inflation data so seriously that they go up to 1%? That, I think, could send the market into more havoc. That's a thought. Does it mean that's going to happen? We don't know yet. Right now, I agree with Steve and Anil. I'm not getting any signals here that are saying buy me at this particular point in time. NASDAQ broke its trend line way back here, came up and kissed the trend goodbye, and back below the moving averages and has continued to fall. Again, look for it to fall down to approximate support about the 280 level. The way I look at this, because I'm looking for a 3-step setup at support with a bullish reversal signal and my momentum starting to shift back up. But I've got downside momentum on my weekly chart, my daily charts, and how badly has from the high to low, how badly has 8% on the NASDAQ. Not a lot to smile about. I mean, other than just to stand by and wait. The Russell, again, holding up a little bit better, but the momentum, look at the momentum shifting. TSI, the market forecast on the daily basis, looking like it's, providing us a 3-line cluster. But where could we basically turn around at? You could turn around here, or I'm looking for a continued sell-off just a little bit deeper down into maybe the 170 to the 160, this 168 level. How far has it dropped this week? Well, it's dropped from here only about 6.82%. So it has held up better than the NASDAQ or the S&P. So that's where I'm sitting right now until the Fed reports out. I'm really not, and I get the signal that I'm looking for. I'm not really looking at this point to trade the Russell, the NASDAQ, or the S&P to the bullish direction.
I pretty much agree with you. I think it's a terrible environment until there's some resolution. I think it's a tough environment to try to take a trade, a long side trade.
Okay, Anil?
Yeah, that's about right. One puzzle that I would like to share now and will share more in detail. My source list is MarketSmith Group 250, and I'm finding out in a wider search that there are some stock that gave me a buy signal a month ago that are still good, and I never caught them because they were not in MarketSmith 250. So they were flying under the radar, and I'm trying to research and figure out what were they trying to tell me at that time, and did I have any clues? So,
do you have a couple of examples?
I'll show you maybe next time.
Okay.
So, Anil, what you're saying is you're trying to find some individuals just before they make it to the 250?
No, what I'm saying is there are some stocks that have really gone up nicely, and they never got into Growth 250, so they were flying under the radar. And I'm just finding out through some extra search.
It'd be really good to be knowing what the parameters you find.
That's exactly what I'm trying to do.
Very interesting.
Reconstruct the crime.
It's a forensic approach, huh?
All right.
Might just challenge everybody is, one, take time while the market's just acting, doing a hissy fit, and breaking to the downside. Take time to just make sure you define your setups, define your rules. And the thing about it is then you can go back and you can start retesting or back testing what your system's doing. If you need help with that, I can share my rules with you. I've shared my rules with the majority of folks here. But some of the positive signs that I'm seeing, one, the Russell breaking down to a slightly lower low. But what's going on over here? My momentum is actually not making a new low. That could be very positive if, depending on what the Fed does next week, that's telling us that, okay, I'm making a new low, but my momentum isn't. That oftentimes is a prerequisite for a break back up to the upside. Now, how far is it going to run to the upside? I haven't got a clue. But that's one of the, part of the positives that I can look for in the on the charts. And we're getting a lot of charts like that, especially with the sector index ETFs. See, Nicole, did you want me to take a look at those stocks? Is that why you put those tickers in there? Here's one stock that David says is holding up really good. What is this? This is our buddy Walmart. So, what's going on with Walmart? It fell from the sky, reset everything on a weekly chart, and it looks like it wants to start breaking up to the upside. It got a nice little flag back down in here. And I would say, take out the high of, Dave, are you in this trade already? So, yeah, so the big thing about this is it's struggling with the 50-day moving, 200-day moving average. However, the 200-day moving average is starting to curve up. We get something good from the Fed or going into the Christmas holidays. That could be an excellent potential trade.
Dennis, can I make a comment?
You can.
And it might sound critical, but it's not meant to be. It's really food for thought. I think in any market, you can always find something doing well. The question is, in that kind of an environment, are you wanting to be a buyer anyway, just because it's doing well? Or would you want to kind of more sit on the sidelines and wait for more, for the environment to clarify? And I don't know what the right answer is.
Yeah, well,
it's something I always struggle with.
Well, I think part of that is everybody has to make up their own mind what they're going to do.
That's right.
And like the way I handle that is I will buy even when the market is in correction, but I caveat that with I only buy a quarter of a position or a half position. And I want the other characteristics of that particular stock to be much better than the market. But that's the way I protect myself. Anil, you got any input on that?
No, actually, I think I'm learning from you. I like your position. And I just found my list here. For example, OVV, that gave me a buy signal 38 trading days ago. Then 3 weeks ago, again, it gave me a buy signal. And most of
it's also on the current IBD 50.
Yes, but 30 trading days ago it was not.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And that's my puzzle I'm trying to solve. What is this guy was trying to tell me 38 days ago that I completely missed?
So that would be around here.
Yeah, that was the date exactly. The signal I got was July the 27th. Bunch of others like that, and I'm studying that.
Okay. Anil, myself, and Steve like to talk about stocks. And so I'm going to throw up two more stocks just for you to take a look at. These are not to take action on immediately, but kind of interesting. Netflix. Netflix is building a consolidation base, and it's breaking back above the 8 to 20. It is well below the 200-day moving average, and it's got crappy fundamentals, but it is being bought. It has an A-. And so that's one. Another one is IMXI. Also, IMXI, I kind of like this, but the thing about it is my volume is not really that great, but it is breaking back out. This could go either way, guys, but those are two that you want to add. You could add to your watch list.
Netflix has a buy signal on my system today.
Okay. Want to know how to trade? I trade the index ETFs and also the leverage ETFs. you need to check out the AutoPilot Trading Service, guys and ladies. I don't try to capture the whole moves, but these leverage ETFs provide excellent upside potential where if you just capture the middle section, my goal is to capture the middle of the move and then have that compound. This last year, it is compounded on TQQQ at over 113%. So do you struggle with this? Spending over 2 hours per week searching, finding strong stocks and setups? We can take care of that for you with AutoPilot Trading. Take a test flight. And if you're a veteran or you're a Bay Area moneymaker, ask me about the discount that we have going on. So that's basically it. Anil, Steve, thank you so much for a good session. Remember, folks, be patient, persistent, and consistent. And I'm kind of keeping my powder dry. I'm invested right now at about 33%, waiting on the Fed. So aloha and God bless everybody.